So, where to even begin? So today is February 15th, and it's the day after Valentine's Day. February is the month of my birthday, and it's the week of my birthday. And usually, in the past, this has always been, a love-filled week, and it's always been kind of a big deal in my life up until about 2014. My brother was diagnosed, my little brother Hunter. He's an identical twin. He was an identical twin, and there's 6 of us. There was 6 of us. Now there's 5 of us, and I'll go into that here in a second. But Hunter was diagnosed with stage 4 rhabdomyosarcoma, which is an advanced cancer of your muscles, basically. So he was diagnosed on February 14th, and then he was released from treatment and basically cured of cancer on February 15th of 2015. So he would have been his 5th year in cancer remission, cancer-free, and we would have been celebrating. He would have been 21 today. Or not, I'm sorry, he would have been 21. He would have been 21. And his identical twin is 21 and going to college, and I'm sure he's having a rough time, but twins are really interesting because they have their own little world that they live in, kind of, and when they're together, and they even have their own language growing up, kind of type thing. They were very intimate and very close to each other, and they had a relationship which, if you got to look into, just a peek into their world, it would be really alien to you, but beautiful at the same sense. And they were very close. They were each other's best friend. And the way it's affected my little brother, I don't know the depth of it, but I do know that he has found courage to step out of himself and go into the unknown and do things he would have never done before. So I like to think of it that he absorbed all of his brother's energy, which, a little bit of him is with us all. And I actually have him here right now. I carry him with me, and it's really sad. I always think that he's reduced to this. So he's the reason that I do what I do. Really, he's the reason that I just get up every day and continue on. I want to live the best life that I can, so that I can live it to the fullest in what he couldn't have got, the life he didn't get to live. So with that, I'll just tell the story of how all this comes into play. After Hunter got into remission, I think he had a good year. He was in high school. He was a senior in high school, and they were getting ready to graduate. And it was in February 23rd of 2017. It was 2017. His twin found him passed away in his bed. He had a really bad day or something. I really don't know the whole thing. I think that there was some factors about a girl not being, faithful and all this stuff. I really don't know. But he'd been up in his room. He was a quiet kid, and he was a gothic, and he was really kept to himself, and his twin had a girlfriend, and so they were in their senior year. They were not growing apart. They were just becoming into themselves, and so they were doing their own thing, and I don't know what happened, but Cody found him in his bed. He had crossed over, and he had taken 3 bottles of the sleeping pill Unisom, which is also basically Benadryl. And I think it was to get high. I don't really know. I don't know. I mean, I have a theory, that maybe it was to get high because he wasn't allowed to smoke pot or something. I don't really know. But his brother found him, my brother, and it forever changed our life. And that phone call was the second phone call of my life that I've ever gotten, that really shook my world. And I'll never forget my stepmom calling me and telling me, they're taking his body away. And I was like, what on earth are you talking about? You're taking his body away, what's going on? And I had thought maybe the cancer had come back attack aggressively or something, but no, it was something even worse. And so ever since that day, our family, my family is very split. So like, I'll go into that in a minute. He lived with my stepmom and his twin brother and their family and my stepsister, and they lived in their own little world. So that family, it began a fracture, I think, in theirs too. And like, but they're more solid and they have a really good bond together as a family. And then there's my dad, who's his father. He has us 5 children. Actually, there's 6 of us. We found out we had an older sister who is really wonderful too, and we haven't met her yet, but I know her through Facebook. But so, anyways, the rest of us kids, I guess, because we're a little family in and of ourselves, so it's my dad's kids. I'm the oldest, so there's me, and then there's my brother Zach, who lives in Israel with his wife. He's about to have a baby. And then there's my sister Whitney, who's my baby sister, and I just love her dearly. And so Zach and Whitney have the same mom. My dad was rambling, man. I love you, Dad. But they have the same mom, and so my mom is Michelle, and then their mom is Donna, and then the twins had Shar. And my dad got with Shar when she was very young. She was 18, and he was like in his 30s, God bless him. And, every teach their own, and it was I had a wonderful relationship with Shar, and I still do, and I have a wonderful relationship with my stepsister and my little brother and my family. And so it kind of like fractured our family, because also after that my dad's brother passed away suddenly, and so it began this whole thing, and my dad had his cabin burned down and all this drama and all these things, and none of us kind of got out of it unscathed, I guess. So I went into this really deep depression, I guess I'll say. And I was working at Alpine Valley Wellness Center at the time, and I had worked there for 10 years, and every little thing was kind of getting to me, and I just remember the day that I left, it was just, I couldn't handle anything emotionally. Everything was just, anything that was one more thing emotionally would push me over the edge. So I was crying. I literally, to this day, I cry every single day, like, about something stupid, who knows. And that started when Hunter died, and so, there's a lot of unresolved stuff. So I vowed in his funeral to live my life to its fullest in celebration of him. And I sat with his body for quite a long time, and I'll never forget it, and it'll always be ingrained in my mind. And I have dreams about him and that I can't reach him and stuff. I think of suicide as like what dreams may come, like what dreams may come, where Robin Williams, at this movie where Robin Williams' wife commits suicide, and he goes down into the depths of hell to find her, and she's really lost. And so I kind of think of his situation a little like that, and lately I've been feeling that maybe he's moved through it a little more, and everything has a purpose, but today's just really hard, because knowing that 5 years, just knowing that 5 years has gone by, that he could have joined his brother in going to college, and like just going to concerts, and like he always wanted to go to Barter Fair with me. And I remember the last time he asked me, I ditched out on him, and because I didn't want him to go, because I thought he was too fragile, and I thought it because of his cancer, and he really wanted to go, and he was stronger than what we all believed. So I wish that he could have experienced those things. So so I kind of trudged on through the year. It happened in 2017, and then things were getting better. Things were kind of getting better last year. In January, I was feeling good about life in January. I remember, like, we had a really hard winter, but we had gotten married. I had gotten married during that time. Jesse had asked me to marry him, and that was like a dream come true, because we never thought we would ever get married. And we both have a rich history of mental illness and like abuse and like family stuff. And so, like, it's really awesome to be where we're at now. If any of you who know us know our past and knew us when we were those demons, sorry. We really have come a long way, and I think that my brother's death has really had a lot to do with that. There's always that silver lining. But anyways, I was doing well, and in January I hit a low, and I ended up flipping my Jeep, and it was crazy because I'd owed all this money on this Jeep, and like it was really putting me in a bad place, and so it ended up being a good thing. It was like the silver lining again, but I had some things happen with my back and stuff to where now I don't like have feeling on one of my feet and like on the periphery of it, and it makes things hard to exercise and walk and blah blah. So there's a lot of chronic pain there too that I've had to deal with, but you know, my birthday hits, and then Valentine's Day hits, and it's like love, 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 and everything's kind of getting better, and I'm getting through this grief, and it's like, okay, I can do this, right? I can do this. And then right when you feel comfortable, right when you get comfortable, goddamn universe just bam, fuck you. And so that's what happened. Bam, fuck you. Today, a year ago today. Oh God, and this story is so horrible and like tragic. I don't even want to tell it because I think I will cry. And it's also long because my life is long, and I'm one of those people with a big life that has lots of shit happen to me. My uncle passed away. My mother's brother. He was the brother that was born after her, and he was basically my first father figure. My cousin Brittany, who is my sister, basically was born on January 11th, 1986, and I was born February 11th. And so we've always been really, you know, close, and had our birthday parties together and shared our life together. And we lived in the same town in Laramie. Our parents went to college together. They were close at a time. And you know, we were close, and he was my father figure, and he was a wonderful man, and he kind of lived this picket fence life. He was like, my mom called him the golden boy, because he was golden, you know, and he was like one of those people that are really rare. And he was a really impassioned about wrestling, and he was a really awesome wrestler, and he even like made it to like the United States Championships. And then my other uncle actually had pinned down an Olympic wrestler, Rulon Gardner, when they were in high school, and like Rulon Gardner wrote about him in his autobiography and stuff. So like I have this rich wrestling history, and my uncle Mike was really into wrestling, and when he was in his early 20s, and I was, gosh, Brittany and I would have been, we were not even 10 yet, I do know that, we were very little. He got Hodgkin's lymphoma, and he found out that he had Hodgkin's lymphoma because he had a lump that was grown on his neck, and they found out, and he ended up getting like a bone marrow transplant, and he lived, and they weren't able to have kids again, but him and his wife had been together since they were in high school. Her name was Shauna, Rick and Shauna. They weren't able to have any more kids, so they were like really looking forward to being grandparents, because they knew that Brittany loved children, and one day she'd give them those children. And they had this beautiful life. They got to travel all over to Hawaii. He worked for my grandfather, and then later took over the family company and worked with his 3 brothers, and they worked really hard and made lots of good, you know, money for the family. And Mike was a giver, and he gave to all these different foundations like Wounded Warrior, children's hospitals, you name it. He was just giving. And Mike and Shauna had gone from nothing, like with my mom, you know, from college to having nothing and struggle, and then, you know, they made it, and they had this beautiful life, and they were always like traveling and going to UFC and going to Hawaii, and Brittany and Mike had matching like Hummers and stuff, and it was beautiful. It was like beautiful, and I lived in the town by them in my senior year after I went to rehab for meth, because I'm a former meth addict, if you didn't know that, and I just loved them. They were wonderful people. But in 2011, I think it was October 24th, Shauna actually suddenly passed away from cancer. So ladies, hear me now. Get your pap smears. Go to your gynecological exams, even if you don't want to. My aunt passed away from uterine cancer that went bad, and she didn't even know she had it. It just took over her body, and they called me, and I was living here in Wenatchee, and I remember the day. They called me, and they said she was in the hospital, and I remember I had never had anybody die before. And I remember thinking, oh, she'll be fine, I'll get to see her soon. And my mom said to me, do you want to talk to her? And I said, oh, no, I don't need to talk to her. I'll see her soon. I'll be home. I'll come home and visit, right? I'll be home next month. Everything will be fine. And I didn't want to impose, And I got a call. I went to Barter Fair, and I got a call after Barter Fair. And Barter Fair, that was the year I had a major shift in my life. I had done acid for the first real time, and I changed completely. I found God, and it was crazy. The whole story is crazy, and it led me to Jesse in the end, but that's a different day. Anyways, and then I came home and got the call that she had passed, and it was October 24th, I believe. And so that was really hard for me, because I had never had anybody die before, and she was like a second mom, and so it hit me pretty hard. And I remember it began the splinter of my old relationship. I was married I got married when I was 20 to my high school sweetheart, and we're very different people. We're still cordial, and he's a good guy, and he takes good care of our 13-year-old dog. He's a good dude. He does his own thing, but we just weren't meant for each other. It's just sometimes you're not meant for people. And that was the beginning of it, though, because I couldn't cope with my grief. And so I started, this is hard for me to admit, because I've only admitted this to Jesse, really, and my few close friends. I started going to raves, and I started doing Molly, and I started doing a lot of Molly. I started doing a lot of drugs again, and I had been sober from meth since I left. I actually left. We moved away from Wyoming the day after my ex and I got married. We moved out here to Wenatchee from Wyoming because everyone in my wedding party was high on methamphetamine. And this was in 2006. This was August 2006. So August 12th I got married, and August 14th I was here in Wenatchee, and I've been here ever since. And I got away from all of it. I was just appalled that everyone was high at my wedding, and so I got away from all of that shit. So here I am, fast forward, it's 2011, and I start going to raves, and I had been clean from 2006 until 2011 from any hard drugs, like I had done. I was done. And I started using Molly and ecstasy and all those party raver drugs under my ex-husband's nose, and doing a lot of acid and stuff, and I was going to a lot of parties. I went to every single rave, freak night, Paradiso, you name it. I went to all of them, and I just went down this downward spiral. It was totally crazy. And I met Jesse later. Fast forward 2013. My ex and I were separated, kind of. We were living in the same house, but we were not together. And I had met Jesse, and Jesse. I think Jesse saved my life, because he wasn't into all that stuff, and I mean, he had his drinking problem that he was dealing with, but he was more into just all the other stuff I was into besides that, hiking and stuff, and just music and living life and deep thinking and everything I loved, and music. And so we became friends, and I started hanging out with him, and then I left my ex-husband because I couldn't handle living in the house anymore. And I remember his brother put a gun in my head, and I left the house, and it was really horrible, and it was a big deal, and it changed my whole life. And I had just gotten done with the Integrative Institute for Nutrition, and I just changed my diet and stopped eating gluten and stopped eating processed food. I haven't eaten fast food in 10 years. True story. Have not touched a cinnamon roll in 12. And I so I changed my life, and I shed everything. And then fast forward to now. Where was I in my other story? It's all connected, right? Everything's connected. So fast forward, I had met Jesse, and I had stopped doing these pills, and I quit doing all these things, and we went through our stuff, which is another day, because that's a big story. And then my brother dies, and I'm in grief, and I can't handle shit, and then I get into this car accident, and then my uncle dies. So today, a year ago, my uncle died. And the way he died was really shitty. I was talking about his wife before that. But anyways, he died because of that cancer I was telling you guys about. He had Hodgkin's lymphoma. When you have cancer, usually I think almost everyone has to have a heart valve replacement because their aorta hardens, and he had heart valve replacement, and he ended up getting some sort of weird staph infection because he had been working out in the oil field in sub-zero temperatures and had strep throat, and the strep ended up attacking that heart valve, and he woke up in the morning and called my cousin, who had already watched her mother die in 2011, and he had suffered that loss, and my grandpa and his new wife, he was singing this beautiful song, and he passed away. He left us and went to be with Shauna. And like the whole time she was gone, that was like, it's like the day after Valentine's Day, which is so crazy. And it's funny because his grandson has the same birthday as him, and my cousin was pregnant when her mom died. She was 11 months pregnant when her mom died, and her mom knew she was going to die. She had a dream that she was going to die and never meet her grandbabies, and so she died and never got to meet she never got to meet her grandchildren. So my cousin's had 3 children since then, and one of them was born on her son's birthday, and it was kind of like a hello from beyond. It was like, hi, Shauna saying hi, and and then Mike dies the day after Valentine's Day, and it's like he's a day late for Valentine's Day because she loved holidays. She was like the biggest holiday person ever, and she loved them. And he was a day late for Valentine's Day, but I think he was on time because he's on Heaven's time, and Heaven's in a different time zone, so that's my joke on that. And like, it's horrible, but I've coped with all of my grief and humor. So anyways, back to my story about how I got through this. Instead of doing drugs, well, I did end up going through this part where I had wrecked my car, my uncle died, and then I had this stuff happen to where I lost my use of my foot for a minute, and then my leg it was numb, and like my leg seizes up at night, and I have chronic pain. And then I went to Barter Fair again. I went to Barter Fair, and the stuff with baby Jayless happened, which is another horrible, tragic story. God. And if any of you have been following me through the years, you've seen all this unfold, and like me try to keep my shit together, which has been really hard considering I'm a former meth addict. It's been really hard, and I'm happy and proud to say I have not touched methamphetamine since I was a young girl. I was like 21 years old, and I haven't touched it since. I have done the Molly and stuff, but I know that it's all the same, but whatever, like I still didn't go to my drug of choice, which was huge for me. And so baby Jayless happens, and we're at Barter Fair, and we hang out, we see him. It's a wonderful time. I got to see one of my awesome friends from high school. She played beautiful music there, and it was like the most beautiful time ever. It was so beautiful. And then we got this text on Sunday night, because we had gone home because I couldn't handle Barter Fair too much because I couldn't walk around as much because there's a lot of walking. And I got this text that they were in the hospital, and then all these events unfolded to where, if you don't know the story, I'll tell it really quick. Baby Jayless, my friend, I really want Nora to actually tell this story, but I'll tell the quick version. My friend and my coworker, Nora and Micah, had their little baby Jayless, and he was a miracle baby, and they took him up to Barter Fair, and he ended up getting like a fever or something, and they rushed him down to the hospital, and the hospital is a really tiny hospital, Tonasket, and God bless them, they intubated the baby, and you don't usually intubate a baby and the size that he was, and for what was going on. So whatever they did ended up causing something to happen. He had to go over to Children's in Spokane, and more stuff happened, and he ended up getting a surgery that made him pass away, and it was horrible. It was horrible. He's 8 months old. It was horrible. So that happened, and that was hard. And I ended up after all this shit, I wasn't feeling great. I ended up having some chronic pain in my leg, and this was like June, and I had my doctor prescribe me, finally, I needed something gabapentin. And this is where everything kind of comes back in. I started abusing my gabapentin, not abusing it, but using it. For me, it was kind of like not. It was right on the edge. It was right on the edge of what I should be doing, and it started causing me to have severe memory loss and like aphasia, and I was like not able to remember things. I was not able to talk straight. I thought I was going completely insane, and I was smoking pot really heavily. I mean, I was smoking pot so much. Like I'm really proud of myself because I have cut down significantly to where I'm only doing the pot like at night or once in a while. I don't do what I was doing. It was like really bad. And in Washington State, it's legal here, guys. We can go to the store and get it. And my husband's in recovery. I haven't had a drink. We both haven't had a drink in 3 years. So I was really trying to stick hard to that. And we had some stuff happen, and he ended up getting the norovirus. And while we're in the hospital, we find out that we're getting kicked out of our house because our landlord's selling it because it's like not advantageous. And truth be told, I think we contributed to it because we had one of our classic blowouts that we have sometimes when he was switching medications, and it just wasn't good. So, everything happens for a reason. Now we're in a good place. But I finally, in that moment, we're in the hospital, and Jess is getting an IV because he had been puking for 24 hours, and he wasn't like peeing, and it was bad. We get a text, we're getting thrown out of the house, and everything just hits me, and I'm like, oh my fucking god, I don't even know what to do. So, I go down this really dark road, and I like literally stopped doing everything. I had not done anything that like health coaching, forget it. Why on earth would I do that when I am in such disarray? And I hadn't done that for like 2 years since Hunter died. And I just went down this road. I stopped doing art. I still haven't picked it up. I need to. I stopped listening to music, really. I stopped doing everything. So I actually started, this is where everything starts. I get this, like, oh my god, realization. We're getting kicked out of our house. What the fuck am I going to do with myself? I realized that I needed to get off these pills. So I go to my doctor, and I'm like, look, I can't do this anymore because they're making me numb. I'm liking this numbness. I'm not present. I'm not here. I like it. Help me. And so I get off these pills, and we had done this test called the Genome Mind test. And this test had, like, I will friggin' scream to the rooftops forever about this test. It was a mouth swab genetic test that tests your genetics to see which pharmaceuticals and supplements work best in your body to help you figure out which pharmaceuticals to use for like for depression and like pretty much anything. But we were using it in the way to figure out what I needed to use for depression and what my husband needed for his bipolar. And it was actually wonderful because we got us both on pills that, pharmaceuticals, which I've always been hella against because I used to be a purist. I used to be such a purist, and I was like only ever eating organic foods. I was a raw vegan at one point when I first met my husband and when I met Jesse, and geez Louise, I've come so far. I gained like 20 pounds back when Hunter died, and I've since lost some of it, but I needed to get back to my lifestyle and my foundation and kind of get back to those habits, those lifestyle changes I made in the very beginning when I first left my ex-husband, and like when I first started going to the Integrative Institute for Nutrition. I needed to get back to that. So I got off those pills, and we moved into a new house, and I got on a good routine, and I basically started listening to like Les Brown, Tony Robbins, Jim Rohn, Wayne Dyer every morning without fail. Even if I've heard it 700 times, I listen to it. I don't give a fuck. I listen to it all the time. I listen to it in my earpiece at work, Jordan Peterson, all day long. Because even if I know these things, hearing them again and like hearing that positive messages over and over again has really got me out of this shithole that I was in. I dug myself such a deep shithole. I'm surprised I wasn't drunk and like high every day. It was only my, like, the previous experiences I've been through and my, like, stubbornness to stick to being not, to not wanting to ruin my marriage and not wanting to, like, ruin my job. My job has really been an anchor for me. Working in integrative naturopathic medicine saved my life. When I was 23 years old, I stumbled into this, and I was offered a work-study job at Alpine Valley Wellness Center, a naturopathic clinic here in our town. And I didn't know what it was. I thought that it was a pot shop or something because I didn't know what natural medicine was, and I wasn't going to go to the interview. I had already fucked off a Starbucks interview for manager before because I was young and whatever, I don't even remember, and something told me to go, and so I went, and they weren't going to hire me because I had all these piercings, and I had a nose ring, and an eyebrow ring, a lip ring, a tongue ring. I think I was wearing black, I'm sure I was, and they weren't going to hire me, but they had me do a work interview, and I worked so well, and I worked better than everybody else, so they hired me, and they actually, I worked there for 2 years, and I did a bunch of stuff. I got my medical assistant certificate, my nursing assistant certificate. I worked in convalescent centers. I did in-home care. I worked as a innkeeper at a bed and breakfast. I did a lot of stuff. I actually had 4 jobs, and I went to school at one time because I was so driven to get somewhere from where I had been. And I ended up becoming the manager of this job when the physician had a baby. And it was the most life-changing, wonderful experience. But our dynamic working together wasn't the best. At least, it was just a couple personality things. And looking back on it, I can see where I contributed to it, especially when after the death of my brother, because that's when everything got really bad. And I can see where both parties contributed. But it was time to go. It's time to go. And so I got this job. I was the manager. I got my medical assistant. I went on into the Integrative Institute for Nutrition to become a health coach. And so I graduated from that in 2011. And then here, fast forward to now, I had left that job and I work in the most amazing, beautiful, and I can't even tell you, the most beautiful place in the world. And I work for the best people in the world. I literally work for the most wonderful human I have ever met. And, it's cool to be with people my age. It's cool to be with people on my vibe and on my level. And we're teaching people the love of integrative medicine. But the other doctor that I worked for actually saved my life because I found out that I had a bunch of dietary stuff that I couldn't have. I found out that I had an autoimmune and that I couldn't do all of these different things. And with my food, and that I had to take out gluten, I had to take out sugar, I had to take out meat for a time, I took out dairy and corn, and I don't eat genetically modified foods, and I only eat organic. And I do cheat on the dairy and sugar now, and that doesn't do very well, but it literally saved my life. I lost 60 pounds and in the very beginning, and I turned my life around and I quit doing drugs. I was able to sustain not doing drugs while I was working in there, and so it gave me an anchor. And I love herbs and supplements and anything like that. It just feels right to me, and I love teaching about it. And so that came back to me. I was watching this girl on YouTube, Gillian Perkins. That's what re-inspired me to do my YouTube channel. I was watching her, and she was talking about what made her start, and I started thinking back to Hunter and back to Mike, and Mike's funeral was actually one of the biggest funerals I've ever seen. The entire high school gym of Douglas High School was completely packed, and it was out through the nose, and they did a spotlight for him at state wrestling in Wyoming. He's been on TV multiple times. They wrote a news article about him. He touched so many lives. how profound. One little man in Douglas, Wyoming, a town of 3,000 people, touched so many lives. And they still think about him to this day. If you go on my wall and you're my friend and you see the post I posted about him today, a bunch of those people I don't even know. They're just people that loved him and that he touched. And I want to be like that, and I want to teach other people to be like that. It's not all about me. This isn't about me. I'm not doing this because of me. Love you, Anita. Thanks for watching. Thanks, guys, for being here and watching me ramble on. I will put this up on YouTube, too, so that there's a replay. And I really appreciate all of you, my support system, that have helped me to get here. All of you have helped me through this. And I don't know where I'd be. I hate to say this, but without Facebook, my community is here, and I have people, like I have a friend, my friend Lacy. I don't know if she's here watching, but my friend Lacy, I love you, girl. She's also lost a sibling to suicide. I have never even met Lacy in person, but she has just been one of the best friends that I can confide in and talk to and reach out to, and it's wonderful. Hell, I met my husband on Facebook. And it's cool if you know how to use it, and that's why I try to come on every day. And there was a period where I went quiet, and people would message me and be like, hey, where you at? And I finally realized that one voice does make a difference. When my uncle died, I did realize that one voice makes a difference. So that's why I do these things. That's why I'm doing it. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm talking your ear off. I've been talking at you for an hour. I'm going to be doing dedicated videos in my YouTube about all of this stuff. It's just kind of releasing slowly. But I really wanted to come on and talk to you guys. Hi, Juanita! And I really wanted to talk to you guys about just perseverance, and just teach, if I could teach you anything in this group and the purpose of this group, it's to push on. Just push on and keep going. And, I used to teach all this stuff about nutrition and herbs, and I love it. It's so cool. It's the most, it is foundational. Nutrition's foundational. If you don't have a good nutritional diet and you don't have a good routine, it really is a disservice to you. And those are the things that have kept me grounded and kept me able to stay sane, basically. It's just, even if I have control over my food, and I have control, it's kind of, I guess that's what it's about, almost, not just being healthy, but for me, it's I have control over my food, and I know it's there, and I don't have control over my life, but god damn it, I have control of my food. So nutrition's foundational for me, and it just goes from there. Nutritional, lifestyle habits, herbs, supplements, a good team, a good wellness team, that is so important. I drill that to the cows come home. A good doctor, and people, a good relationships, and people that are rooting for you and not against you, and people that are there for you and that are reaching out to you. And it feels like sometimes that we are always the ones reaching out and no one's reaching back. I get that. My family can be the worst at that. I am the caregiver. I am the one that is checking on people. I am the one that checks on my grandparents. I check on my siblings. I check on my parents. I check on my friends. That's just me. That's just inherently who I am, and there are givers and there are takers, and there are people that are just in between in this world, and I strive to be in between, because really everything in life is a balance. And from the middle, my friend Lisa loves to say, from the middle, both sides are the same. And there's nothing more true than that. So if you're struggling right now, and you're someone that is in a deep depression, or you are using drugs, and nobody even knows, or you are have anxiety, you are having conflict, anything, just get grounded. Find something to ground yourself in. And if you don't know what to ground yourself in, start with your food, and then start with your routine. I know these are little redundant things, and that I beat a dead horse and I tell you this, But there's a reason for that. I stay grounded with my food because that is what I have control over. I can't control these other people. I can't control what's going on in my daily day, but I can control what food I eat, and I can control the way I show up in the world. One of the people I used to work for had a wonderful saying, and she's emotionally just really on point. How do you show up in the world? How do you want to show up in the world? That's what I'm asking you guys today. How do you want to show up in the world? I made a choice to show back up. I made a choice to come back. I made a choice to get my ass off the couch and stop crying. And if I'm gonna cry, I'm gonna cry right here while I'm doing something. People of the world, you have to make that choice. I can't make it for you. I've been in this veterans group for veterans' wives, and there's a lot of sad stuff going on in there, and a lot of husbands are drinking a lot, and there's a lot of people are just having a lot of turmoil. And I asked my husband, because he's really come a long way, how did you get out of that? How did you decide to get out of that? And it's just that, it's a choice. It's a choice. You have to be so tired of your own bullshit that you're gonna get up and do it. Whatever it is, for me, it was getting off the couch and coming back to this and coming back to my community so that I could help other people. Whatever it is, get up and do it and find something to ground yourself in. And if you don't know what to ground yourself in your daily routine and your nutrition and your exercise. If you don't know where to start, I can help you get started. I would love to do that. I know what it's like. I know what it's like. I'm not going to tell you to go eat some fucking kale. I'm not going to tell you that's what's going to help you. I'm going to find what's right for you and what you need to find what's right for you, and do it. So that, it's all about self-awareness. And for me, that's what saved my life. Is self-awareness, good nutrition, a routine, an integrative wellness team, and a good community. And then that's, that will push you forward. With that, I'm going to say goodbye, and I will put this up on YouTube, and I believe I saw a notification come in that Miss Brittany Moore posted our video today. Hi, Brittany! You guys should hop over. I'll share the link. Hop over to her channel and give it some love. Hit subscribe and hit the bell for updates, and watch our video. With that, I'm going to say goodbye because I'm rambling now. And I love you all, and thank you for watching. Yeah! I'm so glad you uploaded that video. Yay! I'm so excited. I'm gonna go show it to my husband. And I'm gonna go and I'm gonna have a beautiful birthday party today with my friends. So I hope you have a great... I know I'm waving at you too. I love you. I love you so much. Oh my gosh, when you find your people, it's just such a wonderful thing. And there are so many of you here that have been watching that are my people, and I love you. So have a good day. Enjoy your Saturday. And I will see you again. Please be sure to get onto my YouTube and subscribe if you haven't already. Ding the bell for future updates. I'm going to be uploading 2 videos this week in addition to this one and sharing Brittany's. So you'll want to stay tuned. Thank you for watching. I love you all. Have a wonderful day.